Good morning and aloha everyone, and welcome to Hawaii RRC's very first Mastermind 808. What a wonderful day when we can gather together with our fellow CRSs. Hey, we are going to be recording this session, so if you want to review it, no, don't worry. We're going to send the link out probably by the end of the day with some other links that we'll be talking about. So don't stress if you see some links in the chat box and you kind of missed it. We'll be sending it out again in an email at the end of the day. I did want to let you know that if you're having any technical difficulties, you can just put it in the chat box, and Wendy Brown, our great, wonderful administrator, will be there to help you along and troubleshoot any problems that you might be having with your Zoom. And at this time, I'd like to introduce our 2020 past president, Patrick Graham, our MC for today. Patrick.
Patrick, you're on mute, love.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Now we're back on. Let's see. All right. First of all, I'd like to welcome everybody and aloha to our first Mastermind 808 sessions. We're bringing our CRS members and guests great educational speakers and chapter updates so you can keep informed and stay connected to Hawaii RRC chapter. Take it away, Mark.
Oh, hey, that was really fast. Thank you. Hey, let me get my slides open here. Okay, thank you for, gosh, that was so quick. I didn't even realize this was the very first one. So I'm absolutely thrilled that you would invite me to be first. Got to tell you before I even start that I actually really love this picture that you got as your graphic and plug it in your brain, because I feel like I have to do that 3 or 4 times a day, is just to replug. Let me see, yeah, everybody can hear me. Just wave at me, Patrick, if you can hear me. I want to make sure everybody can hear me okay. Excellent, great, thanks. So hey, we're going to talk for just a little bit about some very important stuff, because the world is a little bit crazy right now, and it has continued to be that way. So and actually, even when COVID is gone, it will continue to be that way. So we're going to talk about 5 tips to better communication and negotiations. Some of you know me, some of you don't. And so I'm not going to bore you with this big, long, all the reasons why you should like me, because, well, by the time I finish, you'll either like me or you won't. So let me just get started with something you may or may not actually know about me. So I live in Roanoke Rapids, North Carolina, which is right on the border of North Carolina and Virginia. I'm about 7 to 7.5 hours south of New York City, 3.5 hours south of DC. But I want to talk about New York for just a second. So my wife, my lovely bride of 43 years now, has had a dance studio. She's taught thousands of kids over the years how to dance. And some of you that have met me before and know me, here's what you may not know about me. I actually have a Bachelor of Arts degree in music performance. So as a result of that, put that dancer together, the musician together, well, what happens? We're 7.5 hours from New York City, and pre-COVID. Now, when post-COVID is over with, we're going to end up back in New York a lot, because we like New York, right? And we like Broadway. So some years ago, we went up to New York City to see some shows, spend a few days up there. And I knew nothing about this show called Avenue Q. But it had good reviews, and it was supposed to be really, entertaining and amusing, and it's a musical. I love musicals. So we went. Now, here's what's interesting. It had puppets in it, and I thought, I wasn't expecting Muppets and puppets, but that's what the show was. In the show, there was a song that actually kind of shocked me and kind of blew me away. It's a little 3.5-minute song called Everybody's a Little Bit Racist. And I thought, are you kidding me? So I see it in the program, and then I see it on the show. Now, don't anybody log off, because don't get all fearful about what I'm getting ready to say. But I was really entertained in a positive way by that number, because here's what it really talked about. It didn't talk about the really challenges the serious, difficult challenges we have, but what it really talked about was our biases. And even though it was called Everyone's a Little Bit Racist, it was really about our biases and the way we think. And what's interesting about that is we all have them. Now, those of you that know me, you know I've written a bunch of books, and 10 books now, and some of my books have been on building and maintaining, repairing trust. And what you'll find as we talk about this particular topic today, communications and negotiations, is you can't avoid it. I can't avoid it. We all have biases. In fact, there's 12 of them. There's 12 biases. Now, depending on what psychologist you talk to or what books you read, they will be all in the same, they will have a different title as how it's defined, but they're all equally the same. And so the biases that we have are these. You can see them on the screen now. Anchoring, availability, bandwagon, choice supportive, confirmation, fundamental, halo, in-group preference, the jerk factor, ostrich effect, recency effect, and zero risk. Now, I'm not going to spend the time today and lead you down a path to try to teach you the science behind biases. But what I am going to try to do is help you understand that we all have them. We all bring them to the table. And we all come from a different place based on what we've learned as children, small children, toddlers, and then through our lives as young people, young adults, and now as adults. And every one of your buyers and sellers are bringing their biases to the table too. So it gets messy, right? It's really messy. Now, I'm not suggesting to you that you need a psychology degree to sell real estate, but I think many of you have already learned that a little bit of understanding of the way people think, why they think the way they do, the reactions that they have, and how to, instead of judge with our own biases, help counsel, coach, massage, nurture, love, right? And get people through the path. And it all comes down through those communications and negotiations. So as I was talking with Crystal about this and thinking about how could I deliver this to you that would be valuable and relevant in a morsel, right? In just a little Hershey's Kiss morsel time period, because we don't have hours, we don't have a day, we don't have 2 days. I decided I'd give you a little kiss. Can you see that? There it is. Kisses, a little kiss for you, right? I'd give you a little kiss and help you understand where you can go, that if you recognize the fact that we can all do a little bit better, we can all be a little bit better, then where do I go to get that information? I'm going to show you 6 books that if you want to improve your communication and negotiation skills, I'll give you 6 books that will help you with that. I've saved my last 2, the number 5, number 6, are my favorites. And I will spend a little bit of time on number 6, on book number 6, and give you 5 tips for better negotiations. And by the time I get through all of that, our time will be up. You'll have a chance to ask me questions if you want to. We'll talk about that. I'll tell you a little bit of story, because if you know me, you know I'm going to tell you a story. I'll tell you a little story at the end, and we'll be done, and I'll get out of your way. So let me give you these books that I think that you need to know. Now, get out a pen and a piece of paper, and you can write them down. But just know that because we're recording, you can go back and review these. I'm going to give you an overview of each of the books so you can know how it'll help you. So the first book is just this book by Stuart Diamond, how you can negotiate to succeed in work and life, getting more. And what's that book, this book, what's it really about? Now, New York Times best-selling book, so you know it's got to be at least decent. A bunch of people must have purchased it, read it, liked it, given it good reviews. So this book is about more. It's about how you define more, how you get more, how you keep more. Isn't that really what your buyers and sellers want? Right? They all want to get more. They all want to get more. So Stuart starts from the viewpoint that the other person's emotions and perceptions must be respected and negotiated towards, which means that even though we have a fiduciary responsibility to our own client, we're not going to help our client get all the things or many of the things that they want if we don't have an understanding that the other side is going to be very emotional, and that we need to respect their emotions and not let our emotions get out no matter what they do or what they say. So if we want to help our buyer and seller get more, we need to help them out. First, we got to understand what it is they want, and then how we define it, how you get it, how you keep it. If you read this book, it might help you down that path to help you just learn a little bit more to help you with some of your clients. Okay, so that's book number one. Let's go to book number two. Book number two, is Crucial Conversations. Now, this book is also New York Times. It was written by New York Times bestselling authors, Patterson and Grinny and Macmillan and Switzerland. So this book is about communicating more effectively. I live in North Carolina, and at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, there's a wonderful leadership program there, and they teach this wonderful program of measuring everything, no matter where, understanding that we can all measure ourselves from 0 to 10 at everything. Understanding, right? How well do we understand it? And then what are the skills that we need to accomplish it? Crucial Conversations really kind of touches on some of those principles, which are, this book is about communicating and doing it better. Now, you know what? If we don't get it right all the time, and well, you probably will, but I don't, I can always do a little bit better. I can learn a little bit more. And I think it's probably, if you're honest with yourself, you'll find that you can be a little better too. So it's how not to use all kinds of tactics to dodge the touchy issues. And boy, are there not a lot of touchy issues when we're dealing with people, and especially people in real estate transactions. And so we need to learn how to have these honest, forthright, crucial, difficult, painful even conversations, and how not to have tactics to dodge those touchy issues. In fact, that's one of those biases where we stick our head in the sand hoping that it will just get better. And you've got plenty of experience too. It doesn't just get better. We've got to address the issues and do it honestly. So how to communicate more effectively. Wonderful book. I'm a religious person, so I go to church every Sunday. And it's funny about this is I had this in a slide for you because I created these last week. I wanted to review it 4, 5, 6 times before I went over it with you. And last Sunday in church, this came up in the conversation of the lesson that was being taught. This book, Crucial Conversations. And I thought, isn't that just so amazing? Because I'm getting ready to help some friends of mine of Clear in Hawaii talk a completely different topic, right? But how this book is a powerful book about communication. So great book. That's book number 2. Now here's book number 3. So book number 3, I would recommend that you maybe listen to on an audiobook. You know what? With eBay and used books now, man, you can buy a book for $3 and $3.50, pay a couple bucks shipping, and you can have it in a week and read it. So, you don't have to, you buy my books, you don't have to buy my books brand new, buy them from somebody else, used. So another national bestseller, influenced by Robert Cialdini, called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion. This book is about influence in sales, and isn't that exactly what we do? So it lays out the psychology of positioning prior to sales negotiations, as well as the specific formula that drives sales negotiations to successful conclusions. What's the key word here? The key word is positioning. In other words, it's preparation. Those go back to Crucial Conversations, and when you combine these two, it's thinking through the conversations you have to have, preparing yourself for what needs to be done, understanding your client, understanding their needs and wants, and then positioning yourself and them to succeed. This is a great book. It's been around a while. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. Gosh, it may be 10 years ago that I read this book, and I've got it right over here on my shelf. So go back to it from time to time. It's all about sales negotiations. And isn't that exactly what we do every day, all day long? So that was book number 3, right? So here's book number 4. Book number 4 is a book called Bargaining for Advantage. by G. Richard Shell. Negotiation Strategies for Reasonable People. Now, here's what's interesting about that. I don't know. I imagine there have been some people you've worked with before that are not very reasonable. So maybe this book is not for everybody, but it's when you're dealing with reasonable people. So this book starts from the idea that you first must know yourself. Are you reasonable in the things that you do and the things that you say and the way you act, the way you react in your preparation? Before you try to negotiate, know yourself, know your strengths, and then you can get to know, right? In other words, let's face it, sometimes we're just not going to be the right person for this individual. We're not going to negotiate on their behalf very well because we're not a good fit for them. So know thyself. Sometimes it's just better for us to say no. Refer them on to somebody else, right? Let somebody else would be a better match for them. So just know that. Know thyself. It starts with that. That's a wonderful book. Not my favorite of all of them, but it's worth your read. It's absolutely worth your read. So let's get to my two favorite books. Okay, my fifth book that I'm going to recommend, and actually the book that I read years ago by the international bestsellers Roger Fisher and William Ury, been around a long time, have taught negotiations all across the world. They've been the go-to people and in all industries, really, getting to yes. If you've never read this book, you need to get a hold of a copy of this book. Now, here's why, because it talks about people, it talks about their interests and understanding them, truly understanding what they want, right? And how their interests and their benefits and different, right? And so options that you might have, the criteria you need to pay attention and the creativity you need to have in order to really help somebody get what they want. So negotiating agreements without giving in. So in other words, it's not about winning every time, but it's about understanding what it really takes to get your client to yes and to get the other individual who you're not representing, that other buyer, that seller, getting them together. This book will teach you that when a seller, as an example, gives no response to an offer, that is probably not a wise decision. In other words, what you'll understand is anytime you're in a negotiation, that's better than no negotiation at all. Now, granted, when we have multiple offers and lots of them, that does help a seller say no. It's frustrating for the buyers, but you want to be in some kind of negotiation. So you don't want to get locked into a position, but you want to be creative on solutions. That leads us to my favorite book on negotiation. It's probably the newest one. You probably have heard of it. You may have had other instructors or people that you trust that have talked about this book. And this is the one that is the go-to book in today's world right now by Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference, Negotiating as If Your Life, right, depended on it. Because he actually teaches negotiations to, law enforcement, people that have to deal with hostages and terrorists, and although we don't have to, thank goodness we don't have to deal with that. In this book, there are 5 great tips that really apply to you and me in real estate. Now, get out your pen, because I want you to write it down now, and you may not get a chance to come back and watch the recording again. So here's 5 great tips from Chris Voss on great negotiations, and they can apply many times to each and every one of us. So here's tip number 1. So often we tend to see buyers even make round number offers. And Chris Voss, his experience and decades of experience in dealing with people, what he'll teach is that especially, a seller's going to always make that first offer because that's the price that they're saying, here's what I want for my house. So that first offer is out on the table. But psychologists will teach you, Chris Voss will teach you, that rather than making a round number offer, that when you use other digits in there, instead of making a $500,000 offer on a property, maybe you should make it $501,283. Now, that may sound confusing to some of you, but the psychology behind it says that the other party will look at that offer that's being received as a buyer, as an example, who is not only very possibly more serious, but they've actually worked the numbers. Now, you don't want to fake it, but you want to think through it. In other words, let me give you an example. I bought a condo not long ago, and I knew there were going to be multiple offers, and so it was not in my area. So I hired a realtor in that area. And my realtor told me there's going to be multiple offers on this property, so you need to offer accordingly. I used this specific strategy on a condo, a 2-bedroom condo near a university, so that my kids could use it. And as a result of it, along with some of the other strategies that go along with it, but it began with the number. And you know what? They took my offer instead of, I guess there were 7 or 8 other offers. And, it wasn't that my offer was that significantly better than the other offers, the way I understood it. It was the fact that I was so specific in not using a round number. All of the other parties offered a round number. And so I just want you to know, Chris Voss got me a property that has been a real winner for me, because my children have been able to use it near the university where they go to school. And it put me in a competitive situation. I used this strategy and it worked for me, right? So, and I'm not very smart. So if it works for me, consider the possibilities of when it might be appropriate for you. So I can't say it'll work every time, but the strategy did work for me. Never use round numbers. All the other people that I was competing against used round numbers. I didn't. I used just kind of an odd, right, offer, and I won. It worked, right? So how can I not recommend that as one of the number one things to use? So consider that. Here's number 2. Tip number 2 from Chris Voss. Talk less, listen more, and silence is golden. Now, we negotiate so often now with using technology that, silence is kind of frightening. But realistically, I think Chris is more discussing, instead of online, his principle here is about when we're having communications where we get to see facial expressions, body languages, just like we're doing this. Look how different this would be if we were just doing this on the phone, right? As compared to, you get a chance to see my body language, my facial expressions, my hand movements, and so on and so forth. So when you're negotiating and you get a chance to utilize facial, face-to-face, right, which is the best way to negotiate anyway, just remember that when you make a presentation of any kind, you make an offer or you give a response, talk less, listen more, silence is gold. My dad taught me when I was just a very young man, teenager. He taught me a principle called, what did he call it? I'm in a mental cul-de-sac. But anyway, the principle was the 90-10 rule. I'll just call it the 90-10 rule, which is you talk 10% of the time, you listen 90% of the time. Now, my dad was an appliance salesperson for Sears. They didn't even have online sales when he was alive, so he didn't have to deal with purchasing online. All of his purchases were face-to-face. And he taught me that principle because actually the way he said it, my dad wanted to be a Baptist minister. So the way he taught it to me, and it's actually taught in ninja selling today, which is, my dad said to me decades ago, Mark, you can't be the answer to someone's prayers if you don't know what they're praying for. Larry Kendall says the same thing now. I loved it when I heard Larry say that. So, because my dad taught me the exact same rule. So you talk less, listen more. My dad said, talk 10% of the time. When you're negotiating, talk 10% of the time, listen 90% of the time. When you really understand where they're coming from, what it is they really want, that's when you can solve their problem. You can help them win, right? You can help them win more. So talk less, listen more, silence is gold. Great tip. Tip number 3 from Chris Voss. the best negotiated agreement lets both sides win. Now, so often in my part of the world, I don't sell real estate in Hawaii. So in my part of the world, here's what it boils down to. So often we get agents that are, it's my client against your client, and it's a war. But instead, what Chris is trying to teach is, you know what, when you're beating each other up, when you're banging each other in the head, that it's a tough way to negotiate. The better way, he says, the best way is to calm down and just understand that in order for your party to win, the other party is going to have to win too, right? So you got to be able to have some flexibility. And you know what? You're going to win some. They're going to win some. It'll be okay. Help your clients understand that you don't have to beat somebody up to win. So both sides need to have some positives, right? In other words, if you want any repeat and referral business, you better not, right? You better not make people be so difficult anyway. So best negotiated agreement lets both sides win. Love that. Number 4, surprise them with a gift. Now, of course, you know, if you've been in any CRS classes for a long time, you know that we talk about the law of reciprocity over and over and over, especially old timers like me that have been around 15 years or more teaching CRS classes. The law of reciprocity really works. When you give, people have a tendency to want to give back. There's so many different applications for this in real estate and, you know, with current buyers and sellers, with past buyers and sellers. But in a current negotiation, just know that give them a gift. Give them something that will surprise them. The way my old buddy Chuck Bodie, who taught CRS for years, the way he taught me probably 20 years ago, and I continue to repeat that, is when you amaze, amuse, surprise, and delight people, you can't hardly not win, right? So surprise people by a gift, right? Some kindness, something that's unexpected. And I don't mean when it's all done and over with. I mean along the way. You can even do that in a way in negotiations with the other agent. So just think outside the box a little bit, right? Think outside the box. Surprise them with a gift, something unexpected. And then the very last principle, and I hope this will be valuable to you, and I hope you'll really get this. I know you're in Hawaii, but some of you are selling multi-million-dollar properties. And when I started in real estate here in beautiful Lake Gaston in North Carolina, where I am, we didn't have any million-dollar properties, but we do now. And the reality of it is, anytime you can negotiate face-to-face, even if it's using a technology like this, where you take advantage of body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, that sometimes, and Chris Voss is so right on this, you might be much better off to fly a great distance to negotiate with somebody face-to-face than try to do it with text messaging, with emails, even on a phone call. And so just want you to know that if you want to win more often, it's going to be powerful and positive for you to try to negotiate face-to-face as much as you can. So I love that rule. I know it's inconvenient, but it doesn't help streamline our time, but you just got to schedule your time to do it. You'll be much better off. Isn't that what masterminds are all about? Is getting together so that we can communicate, right? I mean, we could do a mastermind on the phone. It'll never be as powerful as just even using something like Zoom. So make it so we can see each other. So I just want you to know, those are the 5 tips. I hope those have been of help to you. Hey, our time's almost up, but before I give you a chance to ask me any questions you want, and I can't read the chat and talk at the same time. So if somebody has a question that you had, I'll let somebody direct traffic on that. But just know, in just a few weeks, I wrote a class for CRS that I actually rolled out at the San Francisco NAR convention pre-COVID, called CRS Generational Marketing, Innovative Strategies Across All Generations. And I'm teaching that for y'all on August 12th and 13th. So it's 7:30 a.m. your time to 12:30 p.m. your time each day. It's relevant, it's valuable, and I promise it'll help you think differently instead of just trying to do the same thing for everybody. How to decide, do you want to be a generalist with all generations? Do you want to be more niche market and pick one that works better for you. And then how do we connect with them? How do we get their business? How do we keep their business? How do we keep them coming back, creating referrals for us, long-term repeat referral business? Because we want them, we want their kids, we want their grandkids, as long as we're in the business. So that class is coming up August 12th and 13th. I hope you'll come. I hope you will. So in a few minutes, I'm going to talk to you about a word that's important to me right now. And I'm going to stop talking and give you a chance if you have any thoughts or questions. I'm not looking in the chat box, so you got to somebody's going to have to control the traffic and talk to me if you want.
Good morning, Mark. At the moment, there are no questions.
Well, that's wonderful. Maybe I answered all of them. That's good. Well, good. Well, let me just give you my little close then, okay? Because I'm just so glad you came. I know you got some other things to do. I just want you to know that I was thinking about you early this morning, and I just put these slides in early this morning because the question is willing, right? The word of the day is willing. Are you willing? I just know this. None of us know what we're going to go through tomorrow, the next day, or even the day after that. We're just not going to know. I mean, we never know what's coming our way. We hope, and in my case, pray for great and wonderful things to happen, but we just don't know. But I do know this: no matter where you are out in the world, when you've got human beings who are full of biases and opposition, it's going to be messy. I mean, every day has the opportunity, the possibility for things to be a little bit messy. And you chose to be in the real estate business. So it is messy. It's messy more often than we'd like it to be. So I just know this, and I hope this is true for you too. So be willing to deal with the messiness every single day. And you got it. I mean, you know what to do. You're doing more right than you're doing wrong. So if you're willing and you understand you can always be a little bit better, you can always do a little bit more, then I promise you every single day can be a great day for you. And some days will be hugely winning days for you. So I'm just so glad that I could be here with you. Thanks for inviting me. And come to the class on the 12th and 13th. I'd love to see you there.
Hey, Mark, before you run off, go ahead, Wendy.
So sorry. As soon as I said no questions, we got some questions for you.
So that's great. I'm here. Talk to me. Perfect. Give me one at a time.
Okay, so the first one is from Melanie Micken. She asked ideas for handling multiple offers.
Yeah. All right. So I'm not sure exactly if you're working with a buyer or seller, but I will always say this, because that's a pretty general type question. Tips. One tip would be, I just got a phone call just yesterday of somebody that was from another state that called me and said, hey, I'm working with a buyer on a multiple offer, and here's my scenario, and what do I do? So here's what I do know. Every property, when there's multiple offers, are different. You need to really understand from a buyer standpoint what it is that your buyer, if they, have how many times, if they lost, have they won? Is this their first time? Have they been into it multiple times? Have you helped them over and over? What are their strengths, right, on offers? And just be honest with people on everything when it comes to multiple offers. On working with buyers, as an example, I help them understand that. Use some of those tips that we talked about. Remember the one I said with Chris Fawcett, not using round numbers. So my tip would be honest with your buyers, because they need to understand that sellers are being very aggressive because they're in a multiple offer scenario right now. And what I would say with sellers is, if you're working with a seller, is I hope your sellers are understanding that the best offer, or what appears to be the highest offer, is not always the best offer. So be cautious, be slow, make sure that your clients are not reading those contracts. So you need to be good at defining what it really says in there. And then I would recommend you read a book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink. It's all about those impressions that you have, those internal impressions that you have. And when you have them, just know that those are based on your experience. And so use that experience, use those impressions, help buyers and sellers, right? And just, you got to just take advantage of your knowledge and experience. Try to take the emotions out of it. So I don't know if that helps you enough, but hey, you know what? if my number's not in there, I'm going to put in the chat before I walk away my cell phone number. You are absolutely welcome to call me and give me more details on specifics. If you have a specific, I'll take 15 minutes to talk to you. Be glad to. So I'll put that in the chat in just a minute. That was a pretty general answer for a kind of a broad question. I hope I gave you some insight. So what was the next question?
So the next question is from Conrad Molina, and he asked, if you had to choose one book to start off with, which one?
Read the Chris Voss first book. It is chock full of tips. And even though his experience is in working with terrorists and, and really dangerous situations, there are a lot of good tips in there that are applicable to real estate. So I would say get the Chris Voss book first, then go to the Getting to Yes book, read that one second, and then any of the other four would be good choices. And who knows, maybe some other book will come up soon. But right now, those are the ones of the 6. And I know that's a lot of books for you to read. But so get Chris Voss's book first, and then getting to Yes second. Great question. Thanks, Conrad. What's next?
One more is, in number 1, what type of numbers did you use?
Okay, so it was a lower price property. So it wasn't a big Hawaii $1 million property. So all I did was take the list price, and I didn't even go 10%. I mean, I don't know what you guys are going above list price right now. But for me, I was interested in the marketplace. In other words, what are other properties that were similar to mine? What were they listing for? What were they selling for? If that makes sense to you. So in other words, there's a list price and a sales price. And so I was interested in what's the market saying for Greenville, North Carolina. That's where I was buying the property. So I had to get my realtor to tell me, because I can't find that. I can't find the right information on Zillow, right, or on realtor.com. So I needed my agent to tell me that. Similar properties, what are they listing for? And then what are they selling for? And then I could get a better idea of what would be the non-round number I wanted to use. For me, I took the number that my agent told me, the likely number that the seller would be looking for, because their listing agent was probably going to give them that information too. I had to make an assumption that that's what their listing agent was what they were going to do. And I only went, I actually, it wasn't a really expensive property, but I went $700 and like $709 and some change, or something unusual like that. But it was $700 and a few dollars above what my agent told me the numbers looked like in their market. So it doesn't have to be 700, right? I mean, it could be a few hundred. Maybe it needs to be a few thousand if it's a multiple offer. But again, don't use a rounded number. And that's how I won. I went $700 and a few dollars above what the agent said the typical market was like, so that it was a little bit more aggressive than it had been going for anyway. It was an odd number so that nobody else was going to have any offer that was similar to it. And I asked my realtor, hey, what do I need to make sure I have in the contract for your marketplace to make it attractive to the seller, so that my offer looks so different from everybody else that I not only does it look good, but that I looked serious. And that's what I was. So when you're working with a buyer, you want your offer to look good, but you also want it to look serious. It doesn't necessarily have to be above. So don't take what I just said as it has to be that. So but you got to get the numbers. You got to run the numbers. The numbers never lie. And so look and see and what similar properties are doing, and then help your buyer see if it doesn't work, right? Sometimes maybe just a few dollars more would be all you needed in an unusual number. I hope that helps. I think Chris is right, because I'd never tried that before. And at the time, 18 years in real estate, this was a couple of years ago. It wasn't long after Chris's book came out. And so I thought, well, I never thought of that before. And I used it and it worked. And you sell more properties than I do, because I spend more time talking and teaching now than in your full-time realtors. But just know that I've tried it a few times and it's worked. So I'm going to keep using it. Hope that helps.
Okay, last question is from Chris Prendergast. And it's
Okay,
the
Chris.
market is The market is discouraging many buyers. Any words of encouragement to keep trying?
You know what? That's a great question. The problem is, if they're discouraged because they're not really serious, or they just feel like they can't win, so they want to give up, then it's going to be very difficult to overcome that. But buyers that feel that way need to know that there's no real end in sight. I mean, we don't know when the end of all this crazy is going to be. So what I would say is that people struggle making decisions when they have lots of questions or fear. And so probably the best way I could answer that is to find out what it is that really makes them afraid to try to compete in the marketplace, and see if you couldn't resolve that. It's the 90-10 principle that my dad taught. So you ask a question, well, what, if you really don't want to do it, then tell me what it is that really makes you afraid. And then we can have a conversation about what we can do to prepare to be more competitive. So if they're serious and they don't want to be in the market, you can't help them, move on to somebody else. But I think some of them are just, discouraged. It's more discouragement. And so the numbers never lie. You gotta spend time on really knowing your market better than anybody else. And if you do that, you can help your buyers and sellers be more competitive. And you just got to work the numbers every day. You need to be looking at the numbers every couple of days and what's happening, because it changes so much. Hope that helps. I just put my cell phone number in the chat box to all panelists and attendees. That's my cell phone number. You absolutely have my permission to text me or call me, and just know that if I don't pick up, I'll call you back.
Thank you so much, Mark. We really appreciate your time and meeting with us today. And aloha. Thank you so much for everything.
Thanks. I'm taking off. Hey, kisses to everybody. Okay, there you go. I'll see you next time. Come on the 12th and the 13th. I'd love to see you. We've got some great stuff to share with you. See you now. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I would like to introduce Arlene Kim Kawamoto, who is our RRC Regional 10 Vice President, and she also served as our chapter president in 2018 and 19. Please join me in welcoming Arlene.
Aloha. Well, I hope everyone can hear me. Am I on? Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I am excited to announce that we will be reinstating our book club. And with that being said, we are starting with a very humorous but easy reading. The book is on there, The Jackass Whisperer. How to deal with the worst people at work, at home, online, and even when the jackass is you. So if you would like to join us on August 10th, 2021 at 9 to 10, we will be on Zoom. Please contact the email that's on the screen there so that you can register for the class. I don't know if everybody remembers, but in 2019 at our celebration, we had the honor of having Scott Stratton close out our celebration, and that is where I came across the book. It is something that it's very humorous, and I actually enjoyed the book because he had the opportunity to share a little bit of his life, and it is in the book as well. So you get to adventure through this journey with me at our book club. With that being said, I am asked to give the RVP update, and I wanted to address, a couple of new things that happened as of July 20th. But one thing I wanted to share is that there is no doubt that we have been through obstacles and unforeseen challenges within the last year and a half. And I'm looking forward to, moving forward as we pray for the numbers to improve and for the vaccinations to be distributed. And of course, for us to have some peace and normalcy. And National RRC has been working very closely with all the states in order to recognize these challenges and needs for our members. They're offering special rates packages for new membership renewals and reinstatement. Some of those effective again, July 20th, is that for new member acquisition, new members, they are having a 50% discount on the rate of $195, so 50% off. Also, the reinstatement fee for those that are regrouping is the $55 fee is waived. And also, if you are interested in attending our Celebration Reconnect, which is live and virtual on August 17th to the 19th, 2021, they are giving you a discount of $50. Our new, the most new update that we have, and you may have, some of you may have received your email from Lana, our CEO of the National RRC. There has been some concerns about the COVID-19 Delta variant. Nevada has mandated or reactivated the mandate to do all CDC guidelines. So masks are going to be resuming during that time. We are going to be following all COVID CDC guidelines again come our celebration. Also, there has also been concerns about the fires that are south of Tahoe. I actually drove through it about a week and a half ago, heading to Yosemite. They are not in the direction of South Lake Tahoe, and there are no evacuations at this time. National is keeping a very close communication with the hotels and whatnot in Tahoe. At this time, there are no changes to our celebration date, and it is still, we are still moving forward. If you have any questions, you are welcome to, our state discount code, if you are interested and you want to share with your fellow realtors, is HIRRC21, HIRRC21, okay? If you have any questions, you can chat and I will respond. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arlene, for the updates. And for your chapter update and drawing for the name for the free CRS course is our 2021-2022 President Aquino Hayakawa.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Aquino with Coldwell Banker Realty, and thank you so much for attending Mark Given's Mastermind 808 this morning. I'm so excited that we've got so many attendees. And first, at this time, I'd like to introduce Trisha Nakota. I would like to congratulate her who successfully ran to serve as the RRC's first vice president in 2022, which means that she will be the second Hawaii National RRC president. I am like super ecstatic in 2024. Let's give a virtual welcome to Trisha Nakota. Too bad that we're not on gallery view, but I'm sure everyone's like happy to have Hawaii represented. Yay, Trisha.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Aquino, for that lovely introduction. I am truly, truly honored. Thank you all for your love, care, and support during my campaign. I wouldn't be here without your support and your vote. So I am proud to be able to represent our RRC members on the national level, and most importantly, proud to represent Hawaii. So thank you so, so much. Today, Mark Given is such an amazing instructor. He is, just built with so much information that I can't even remember how many classes I took of Mark's, but there were many. And so, looking forward to his next class that he's going to be here with us. I hope you all signed up. This morning, Mark actually sends out every Wednesday a Mark's Minute, and I get it via email. So I received it this morning, and I thought, oh, wow, how applicable. So I wanted to share it with you all today. So he wrote, In 1905, an 11-year-old boy named Frank Epperson left soda powder and water outside overnight with its wooden stir still in the cup. Because that's what kids do, right? They just leave things lying around. Well, when Frank awoke the next morning, he found the mixture had frozen in the chilly nighttime weather and Viola. He created an Epsicle. Seeing an opportunity, the young entrepreneur sowed the treat around his neighborhood. That went so well that he made lots more to sell to nearby amusement parks. Many years later, he changed the name to Popsicle because that's what his kids called him, Pop. Pop's concoction. And although this may be a weird historical fact, I wonder what might happen if we all were a little bit more observant. It's never too late to come up with a good idea that makes the world a little better, even if it's in your own little world. So today and the rest of this year, open your eyes a little bit wider and watch that special opportunity. It's coming your way. And although the new opportunity may not be an international hit, it might be something that saves you time. And if you're lucky, makes you money. So that was written by Mark, and I read that first thing this morning, again, every Wednesday. So if you want to receive Mark's minute, ask him, and he'll get you on his email list. But I wanted to relate it to, what we were what we have been dealing with in COVID. 2020 really threw us a curveball. The pandemic really was challenging for us. It was stressful, and we quickly had to adjust both in our personal and professional lives. But through adversity, it's also opportunity, because through these challenges, we learn and we grow. And from my perspective, I saw realtors, our CRS members, who were very resilient, graceful, courageous, and very strong during these times. One thing, though, that I did know that did not change, and that was our aloha, our love and care, not just within our realtor community, but outside of the communities that we work in. So I want us to always look, like Mark said, at each day and be able to create opportunities, share your aloha. What I'd like to ask of all of you is invite someone to the next mastermind that you feel would benefit and become a part of our CRS Ohana. We're all there for each other. We have a great leadership team. We have great support with Crystal and Wendy. I'm always here for you folks to answer any questions that you have, or even brainstorm some things with you. We are here to support each other. So let our Ohana grow. So let's make sure that we get more people to attend our CRS events that we have here locally. Thank you again very much, everyone. I'm very honored to be with you all and to be able to represent our members on a national scale and Hawaii too. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you so much, Trisha. I always love listening to you speak. Now I wanted to quickly talk about what the Maui CRS team is doing. Joanne Fox is putting together Maui CRS, the Walk to End Alzheimer's on October 16th. And you don't have to be on Maui to participate. Crystal is going to be dropping in the chat box the link to either join her team or make a donation. And so let's support Joanne Fox and her team in helping end Alzheimer's. Let me just double check if the link's in there. I think Crystal or Wendy will add the link. And then next, I wanted to talk about celebration that Arlene touched upon. It is going to be in Lake Tahoe. So there is still time to register. It is August 17th and 18th, and we've got keynote speakers here and then 2 days of full training. And Crystal, I believe, will be dropping in the link for this as well. It's $3.99 if I'm not mistaken. And then there is the code to receive $50 off. And you can do it either virtually or in person. And as far as I know, I'm attending, Arlene's attending, Trisha's attending, and we have a few more confirmed attending from Hawaii. It's still not too late to register for either virtual or in person. Thank you. And then next, I wanted to talk about why anyone should become a CRS. I'm not sure of the 70 some people currently attending today, if you're all CRS members or if you are just listening in to see what CRS might bring to you. So being a CRS, this is the leadership team that you see on here for 2021. So we've got Patrick, myself, we've got Roberta, Jocelyn, Raymond, Aaron, and Arlene as the RVP. And as you know, that it is the highest level of expert training in real estate. And then during COVID, what we've done is that we've been doing one-day courses split into two, just the morning from like 8:30 or 8 to noon, and virtually on Zoom. So everyone statewide can take the course. And at most times, these courses are CE certified for Hawaii. So whether you are a CRS or not, if you are in residential sales, then please consider taking our next course with Mark Given on generation marketing. For more information on this class, Krista will be dropping another link. Okay, so there is, yes, thank you so much, Crystal. And then now we're going to start the wheel for the drawing. Someone gets to win a free class to this. This is amazing. So you've got to be present to win. So if it lands on your name, please let us know you're here on the chat box. If we don't see a response for you, then we will spin for another winner. So you must be present to win.
That's fun.
This is exciting.
It's so fun. Go, go, go.
Mary Pat Larson, congratulations. Are you here? Mary, if you are, please drop your name in the chat and say you're here. Yay, Mary, you're still here. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So we'll have Crystal contact you on how you can claim your prize. And that's it for today. Does anybody have any questions that you would like to ask myself, Arlene, Patrick, or Trisha? If we don't, I think we're pretty good on time, 3 minutes early. So thank you again for attending Mastermind 808. This was our first Mastermind, and have a great day. Aloha. Thank you.
Bye. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you, Aquino. Thank you, Patrick. Thanks, Arlene.
Aloha.